So in this segment, I want to discuss kind of the Lib Dems attacking Labour from the left on the EU and on the NHS.
The pressing need to fix our broken relationship with Europe.
Oh, that's a very long pause.
To get a better deal for Britain and put us on the road back to the single market, including, yes, a youth mobility scheme.
All right, with the single market thing, okay, we can't join the single market unless we become a full EU member or join after. So he said the road to the single market, which, okay, fair enough. I just need to say that point because people are dumb.
To boost British businesses and give our young people the freedom to travel and work across Europe. Growing our economy, to fixing our NHS, to reforming our politics, we will urge the government to act faster and be much bolder. Because the challenges we face cannot be solved by burying our heads in the sands and pretending they don't exist like the Conservatives do. But nor can they be solved with the pessimism and defeatism we're hearing from Labour. They will be solved the way Britain has always done in the past, by rising to our challenges with guts, determined.
Now, this was the party that helped the Tories do austerity. Okay, I don't want anyone to forget that. But it's been a while. It's been almost a decade since that coalition ended. And I think people are going to forget the kind of role the Lib Dems played in that. You know, the Lib Dem leader saying, invest in the NHS or accept decline. We got Starmer's talking about reform of the NHS, which I'll cover in a separate video. But he didn't talk about new investment coming in, which goes to show you that you have two very different takes here. The question the Lib Dems are going to have to answer is how are they going to pay for the increase in the NHS budget. I really wish the Lib Dems were the party of opposition, but I can see a lot of kind of disgruntled rejoiners who voted for Labour to get rid of the Tories, who will switch, I think, to the Lib Dems because the Labour Party simply will not be pro-EU enough for them. And that's one of the big problems I think Labour will run into in a few years' time, because for some people, all they care about in politics is the EU. They came alive during the Brexit referendum and haven't gone back to sleep yet.
But in having a different tone, which lots of our viewers might think, great, I'd like people to be constructive, can you actually get hard, though? Will you be tough enough? And if we look at a practical example, when Rachel Reeves announced her review of public finances back in July, she cut entirely those proposals on social care that the Conservatives had, and I know how much you care about social care. Labour dropped it, and there's barely been a peep from your party. Surely if it had been a Tory government that would have dropped plans, you'd be absolutely going after them hammer and tongs.
Laura, we actually have criticised the government for that, just as we criticise the Conservatives for doing the same thing. And what we've said is that in the October the 30th budget, we need to see a budget for the NHS and for care. And we're putting forward our ideas, which will include investment in social care. It's absolutely essential. You know, they talk about reform, and I think they're right to, but we've got to get the right type of reform. And we've argued, and I think we're probably the only party arguing it with this intensity, that social care is a critical part, the most important part of that reform. I don't believe you can sort out some of the problems in our hospitals where people can't get discharged, where people keep going back, and there's a revolving door, unless you sort out social care. And that means, you know, better care homes, more care staff, better domiciliary care services, paying care workers more. As you know, we set that out in our election campaign, and we're going to be banging the drum for care and carers and social care, because we think that's the only way you can say.
I agree with a lot of what he said. That, you know, like the only way, one of the best ways I think to sort the NHS out is to deal with social care, because that's one of the key problems. You know, if you preventative care is the best, I think, cure for the NHS, in terms of if you can diagnose problems with people earlier, if you can get them to a GP, especially older people who don't have as much support as kind of younger people do. If you can get them the help they need early on, they won't be in the hospitals, or they won't be at least in the hospitals as long, which frees up beds, which is one of the major problems we have. We don't have enough beds or the staff to look after all the patients in the bed. So preventive care really is the thing that the Tories destroyed with the NHS, and it doesn't look like Labour are going to fix that massively anytime soon. But we're still waiting to see what kind of reforms that they're going to offer. But investment is key. I'm not just saying throwing money at it. Obviously, look at efficiencies and things like that, areas where different departments can work together, because the NHS is very, very bureaucratic. But at the same time, it does need investment. You do need to increase the amount of staff, physically increase the amount of staff that you can get. You also need to increase the amount of equipment they have access to as well. These are some of the key problems, but by solving, or at least partially solving, adult care, it will go a long way to that. But anyways, let me know what you think in the comments below. Like, comment, share, subscribe, support the channel on Patreon if you can, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one.